Yay, I like that.
Every month.
So, that story's giving me chills because basically what I like about that story is you were trying to give him the best deal. You didn't discourage him from, and I hate it when lenders will say, I don't like Texas Vet because I don't make as much money on it. That's not what our shtick is. That's not what we do. Our thing is that we want your people to be happy, and so that, you'll come back to us, and we want everybody to win. So that's a good story. Not everybody would have done that, so thank you for helping that veteran. I bet he was really excited.
Yeah.
And he'll tell all of his friends too, I'm sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Now the home improvement loan is a $25,000 loan. That's a direct loan through the Veterans Land Board. It's on your little girl flyer. It's the same interest rate with the same discounts as the housing rate. So why do you care about that? Because it's a 20-year loan. You're showing a house. Veteran says, well, I love this house, but I have 5 dogs. I can't have carpet. I've got to have tile. So that's just another little thing for you to tell them. Hey, as soon as the deed of trust is recorded, and you are eligible to apply for a $25,000 low-interest home improvement loan. You've got a listing, veteran owner. We had one in Blanco. Candy, the realtor called me, Tamara, can we use the home improvement to get this house up to snuff so we can sell it? Yes, absolutely. The VLB has no prepayment penalties. They really don't care when the veteran pays it off. They're just trying to pay the lights. Now, the thing is too, when you're driving somewhere around Woodlands and they say, I love this house, I wanted a pool, you can't tell them they can use the home improvement loan for a pool. Because the pool, the Title I FHA home improvement loans are how the VLB underwrites their loans, or Title I home improvement loans, insured through FHA. So they don't allow pools, chicken coops, saunas, whirlpools, stuff like that. So no pools with the Texas Vet. Now on the land loan, it's probably the very best land loan I've ever heard of. And so this is very important that we're giving the veterans information on these special benefits. They can borrow up to $100,000. It does have to be a minimum of 1 acre. It's a 30-year loan at 6.75%. And so the interest rate is different than the housing and the home improvement. It comes out of a different bond pool. You'll see that the rate will be 6.75 for years at a time. Okay? So it's 5% down. The maximum LTV on it would be 95%. So it has to be 1 net acre. If you've got lots that are 100K and they meet this, it's at least 1 acre. This is an excellent way. My general in the Pentagon, that kind of thing. There's a lot of people that can qualify for these loans. They're much easier to qualify for than a traditional bank scenario, because if you were to buy land through a bank, I would think it's 20 to 30% down, like a 7-year, 10-year AM, 3 to 5-year balloon, points. There's no frilly fees with the Texas Vet direct land loan. They don't charge an origination fee. Only thing that the veteran's paying on the land loan is $325 in a file setup fee, which also covers their appraisal. So if something happens, they're only out for that $325 appraisal fee. Okay? So you can use a farm and ranch contract, a TREC contract form, or if you prefer an unimproved contract, you can use that as long as it's TREC. What you can't use is some form that an attorney came up with. It has to be TREC approved. These loans can close within 30 days. There's been a lot of changes over the years, and I was on my 3rd land commissioner. So the current land commissioner, Jerry Patterson, Vietnam veteran Marine, he just basically said, we got to get this cut down. So it's much, much easier. It's 30 days. He did a really good job.
The maximum loan amount's 100. Doesn't matter about acreage. There's no maximum acreage.
There's no maximum acreage. There's a minimum of 1 acre. Great question. So, and then, I had a guy one time that he had a 71% debt ratio. Now, their target is 51. But if the person has a problem, then they're not selling loans on a secondary market. They're making the decision as a Veterans Land Board. So my guy with 71% debt ratio, he was self-employed. So he did what self-employed people do, is do a lot of write-offs, do a good job of not paying, taxes. He also, this was before credit scoring, he had no debt. and his credit report was perfect, 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 perfect. So I look at his DD 214, and I see that he's a Vietnam veteran, campaign service medal, which means he was in Vietnam and all that. I just sent it to the committee. I recommend approval. This guy's a Vietnam veteran, Vietnam camp, perfect credit, owes no money. I knew in my heart this guy was going to pay. I know he paid. So you know what I mean? They'll use a little bit of common sense, whereas if he'd gone to a bank, I'm not sure they would have been able to approve him. So they can go online, and if you have one that you're working with, they can go online and fill out the online application, which will generate a pre-qual letter, which you can use to give to your seller on the land payment. So it's 30 years down, less cash out, only 5%, easier qualifying, minimal fees, 6.75%. So it's really a great program. Now, from time to time, when the veterans can't make their land payments or they give their properties back to the VLB, they call them forfeited land tracts. And twice a year, the VLB will offer those forfeited land tracts to veterans only in the Type 1 land sale. We just had one in October on the 22nd. So the next one won't be till April. But they're not purchased by veterans in the Type 1 land sale, then the Veterans Land Board puts them in the Type 2 category and offers them to non-veterans. They do financing to non-veterans. So if there's something in that Type 2 sale, they've just been put in that category, you can get financing through the Veterans Land Board. You still have to put 5% down, but that.
But would you get the same terms?
You get a higher interest rate. You get it's like a point.
It's still 30-year loan on land, which no one offers.
No one
And
offers.
5%
Right.
down.
5% down.
Only 5%
that's
down.
Totally awesome.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't use their entitlement.
Well, these are non-veterans.
That's a great point,
Yeah.
Tracy, because veteran can buy a land through the regular land sale, and that uses their VA or their Texas Fed entitlement, and they can also buy as many non-veteran tracts as they want. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm touching your
So I
screen.
missed that while I was in the restroom. These are non-vets?
A non-vet can buy if it goes into the second pool.
Yeah, for land tracts. Yeah,
Ah.
good point. Okay, now we're getting very, very close to the very end. You have a flyer that says attention activated guardsmen and reservists. So the law says that if you're in the Guard or Reserve, so you're a realtor and you're in the National Guard, or I believe like your daughter-in-law is in the Guard, right? She's in the Air Guard, so she has to get called up to active duty, then she has to quit her job and probably take a cut in pay. So the law says that if you're in the Guard or the Reserves and you get called up to active duty, you don't have to be overseas, you just have to be called up to active duty, that the mortgage company has to reduce your interest rate to 6%. Well, the VLB loans are way lower, a lot lower than 6%. So what the Commissioner Jerry Patterson did was say, you know, if you're in the Guard or Reserves, we're going to give you 0% when you get called up to active duty plus 3 months thereafter. So if you're in the Guard or Reserves and you have a housing loan, then you are going to get 0% for the time that you're on active duty plus 3 months thereafter. So remember the guy that was in the Army National Guard, that German guy? He would have gotten, he had 7 tours. I'm sure he had 7 years that he wouldn't have paid interest. 0% interest. If you have a land loan, 0% interest, your payments stop. If you have a housing loan through the Texas Fed, then your interest rate stops. You pay your principal reduction, your taxes, and your insurance. I mean, that's huge. If you had a 4.5% loan, 1 year worth of interest would be, let's see, where am I? $8,000. It's 4.14. It's versus 4.5 is $8,200 for 12 months. So that's a lot of money. You save $8,000 for 1 whole year, and it's really exciting. And it's retro. Say you run across someone, I didn't know about that. No one told me about that. Oh, well, let me go ahead and just give you the information. You just call the Texas Vet and send them the orders, and they can go back retroactively and recalculate your interest. Now, property tax exemption, this isn't, you know, unfortunately, we have a whole group of people that we market to which are disabled veterans. If you have 100% service-connected disability, then you do not pay property taxes in the state of Texas. You are eligible for a property tax exemption. If our company has a policy, if the veteran can get a letter from the appraisal district that says they qualify for the 100% tax exemption, then we don't have to qualify the we don't have to use the taxes in the qualifying ratio. So we have one guy takes a class, his client gets declined. He says, "Wait a minute, this person has 100% service-connected disability. You guys shouldn't be adding that taxes in there," but their company didn't have that policy. So he brings them to us. We were able to, because we got a letter from Bexar County Appraisal District that said the veteran qualified, we're able to qualify the customer and move on. So that's what we can do, but we have to have a letter. So all you want to do is just tell them, hey, you qualify for a property tax exemption. And the last handout, is just, this is out of the Texas Veterans Commission, just so you have something from a government agency that tells you what the breakdown is. And I'm telling, what, honey?
I've always wondered about this.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes.
Where are we?
The very last handout. Yeah. Here, you just.
This one?
Yeah. So, I'm talking to my dad. When I find out about this, I say, "Daddy," because he never had a disability rating, and his friends, he was shot down over North Vietnam, separated his shoulder. He can't even put a jacket on by himself. But he's, "Oh no, there's nothing wrong with me. Nothing wrong with me." And his friends convinced him when he was in his 70s, "Go down and get your disability because you need that benefit." So he did it. He has a 30% rating. And I said, "Daddy, did you know you qualify for a property tax exemption?" Nobody told me that.
He's been paying all this.
Well, it's 30%, so it's just a break. They get to deduct $7,500. You see where that's important?
Yeah.
The rating is the key. If it's 100%, that's when it becomes like this really huge deal that you just have to tell your customer about. But you can't tell them all the details because there's 252 counties in the state. Every county does it differently. You just want to, and what you'll get as a follow-up, Leslie, is you'll get a disability exemption for Montgomery County and one for Harris County, just so you can just say, archive my email, just so you can say, well, here's the tax exemption. I've got it right here. If you can remember my name, then you can remember, with a nice haircut, with a nice hair. Thank you, Leslie. So that's just a little, one little arrow in your quiver to try to help people. And then, of course, this VLB talks about the grant programs, which we talked about. There's also a $12,000 grant that is a smaller grant, if that adaptation to the bathroom or ramp and so on and so forth. The nursing facilities, I understand that they will be building a nursing facility in Houston at some point. The closest one to you, I believe, is Floresville at this time. Memorial cemeteries, you'll find the memorial cemeteries in areas where they don't have VA cemeteries. So in your major metropolitan areas, they have huge VA cemeteries, so they wouldn't duplicate that. Now this part of the program is where the Veterans Land Board tells you how to put your information on the website as a preferred real estate professional. So what I do is when I get back to my office on Wednesday, I'll scan the sign-in sheet, I send it to the VLB so they know. I scan it, send it to TAR, so they give you credit through TREC for your hours. And then I physically will put your information on as a preferred agent. So if the veteran wants to know, well, how do I know that you are an agent, or where do I find the cheap land? And the VLB says, well, go to Montgomery County. You can search a database by Montgomery County. You can search a database by the address on your card. Does it say the Woodlands on your card? Okay, so it would be on the Woodlands. And then you can go back and add up to 8 counties if you want to do that. So your information would appear in Magnolia or wherever if they were searching by county. So this is just kind of tells you how to do it, but you really don't need to know that because I'm going to do that for you. Now, what you probably should do is like the Texas VLB Facebook if you're on Facebook. I mean, I love Facebook just for building a rapport with people. I mean, I have friends on Facebook that I'll see at meetings and go, hey, we're friends on Facebook. It's fun. So you can like the Texas VLB, and that way you'll get updates about what's going on at the Veterans Land Board. Now, once a year, they do have a seminar in Houston area. So Tammy, we'll let the loan officers know about that. We'll have a booth there. And if you guys want to have a booth too, you know, we can make sure that you get a table there. And they'll have like 1,000 veterans that come to these seminars. So maybe someone in your group would want to go. And then this is a story that I always tell every time I do a presentation that kind of epitomizes, I think, what we should be doing as, you know, what I love about RE/MAX, what I love about the fact that your company helps so many veterans, American. We should be thanking our veterans. And I was helping this gentleman with his application for eligibility several years ago when I worked for the Veterans Land Board, like a good lender. I was, you know, helping him fill out his application. And in the course of this, I saw that on his DD-214 that he had a Vietnam Campaign Service Medal, and he was also a Marine. And so after we got through with the application, I'll never forget this guy, Mr. Orlando. I shook his hand. I said, "Thank you very much for your service to our country. We really appreciate you." Gave me a weird look. He left. About 15 minutes later, he came back. He waited for me while I was helping another guy. He said, "Ms. Tapman, could I talk to you for a second?" "Yes, sir. What's wrong?" "No, I just want to let you know I volunteered to go to Vietnam." I was only 17. I had to get my parents' permission to join the Marines. And you're the first person in 20 years besides my family that's ever told me thank you. And I almost died. And a lot of my friends did die. So that's not about me. That's about what we should be doing, you know, for our veterans. Sad, but then it's not sad because it just brings home what we ought to do. We don't thank our veterans enough. So it's very personal. We have all these free marketing materials for you guys: flyers, sign writers, door hangers. We have a lot of things. The postcards, which Michelle had gotten, one of her clients wanted some postcards. So that's my story.
So I'm on Facebook, Texas Veterans Land Board.
Texas VLB.
I just found it.
Only 306 people have ever liked it, so I'm thinking I've got to be in the wrong place.
Yeah, no, this is Texas VLB. Does it say Texas VLB?
It says about the Texas VLB. Texas VLB.